So I was playing Elden Ring a while back and realized that I had a Dark Souls 3 character on my computer just sitting around in a pixel format that I was supposed to draw in a better light or make a game out of. And with me doing 3D modeling, this was like the perfect time for me to get this character off of my computer, off my desktop, really, and do something with him and pull him out of just being pixels. So we're modeling him today and getting him together, which is also kind of perfect because this video is coming out around the same time as the Dustborn's video that From Software just dropped on Nintendo Switch 2 for some reason as an exclusive. It hurts my brain just thinking about it. So on to the video. So first things first, starting with the sketch once again, and when it came to this character, I couldn't find the original image that I took on my camera, or I think it was like my PlayStation Network account a while back. I can't remember it, and I can't find it anywhere. So I had to go based off this pixel image that I had and use that as the reference for making the concept art for this character. So as you can see, I used it to make the sketch, I used it to make the blade, the character design, and I'm using that Persona oh my gosh, why is it so hard to say this name? Persona PQ, especially the first game, that version of their character art and illustrations when it came to making this character design. So I wanted to keep that in mind when I make this character and how I wanted the character to move and with how I wanted them to look specifically. So once I got the sketch down, then I went into my turnaround phase where I started doing the front view, the side view, and the back view itself. Well, maybe not the back view because it's kind of easy to kind of tell what this character is about. This is a mage-like character, so big hat, more flowy clothes, more drapery clothes, more clothes that just has a lot of where wind can get to it and it can move around and it looks nice on screen. And a little bit of armor, so armor on the boots, armor on the hands, and that's pretty much it. So making this character is kind of like a lot of grays with that blue hat as that big highlight, and the face was completely black because in the game, and what I'll do is I'll post what the actual in-game clothing items were for Dark Souls 3 on the side so you can see what the original design was. And for those that still actually own Dark Souls 3, you could recreate the character and send it my way because I would really love that. Okay, so now we're in Blender. And for this project, it was some new things I was trying to do with Persona PQ. That style that they have for their characters, I kind of wanted to replicate that style to a point, but keep it low poly. So instead of keeping my character more cubic, they became a bit more cylindrical in their shape. You can see it as like I would go from in the modeling mode to smooth shading, and the character will look a bit more rounded instead of cubey, which was cool. I liked that idea. And as I went through this process, I would either grab some stuff from my old models or I would learn to make something new. Like for example, I was learning how to do the cloth, the clothing for this character. So like if he had anything that draped over anything that had a bit more cloth like feeling to it, I was practicing and I was learning. And what I wish I did was I learned a bit more from older references because I was trying to keep the poly count as low as possible. But by the end of the project, I realized that even though it worked for what I was doing, that next time when it comes to clothing, it's best to have a little bit of thickness on it, regardless of where it is, unless it's like the tail end of a scarf or something like that, something small that isn't really going to move per se, or if it is, it's kind of off in the distance, not really being controlled by your when you're in the pose mode and weight painting. Because when I got into pose mode, that was a bit of a pain. But we'll start from the beginning. As you've been seeing, that I've been kind of making this character as I go, trying to do everything together in one model, one form, to make it as easy as possible. I thought it was easy as possible, but as I kept going, it became atrocious. So I would just do this over and over again, trying to make this character work. And the base body of this character was kind of used as something I made a long time ago when I was playing with Blender, and I wasn't really playing with it to use it for long time purposes. I was just kind of dipping my toe in, seeing what I could do with it for something I can experiment with, but it didn't work out. So I count that time, but I don't count that time in this training session of me like relearning Blender and developing an actual style. So I ripped that from what the Space Body is kind of inspired by the older project. That project was all like one mesh all together. And what I realized when I was doing this is I need to still keep my body parts separated. So as I go through this project, you'll see me try and force it together, and then later down the road, I go back to separating the arms. I separate the legs, the head separated, and I just go back to what makes sense and what's easier. So if you're sticking with low poly, and you're trying to move it into a more, what can I say, more realistic type model, just stay keeping it separated. It's easier that way. If you're going to stay low poly and keep the poly count low and keep it more cubic for your sanity, just keep your body parts separated. It saves you a whole lot of time. Unless you have a technique that works for you. I'm not going to say that anything shouldn't be done in Blender, because this software can practically almost do anything. So figure out what works for you. Keeping my model body parts separated works great for me, and it's easier to move things around. And lately, throughout the project, I would see other people do tricks on how to make it still look seamless when it comes to making your model, and if you having it move, that this character, even from the model view, and you can see it up close, it still looks like it's all connected. So always do reference, always check out other people's videos. Like a great example is I've been watching Blockbench videos on how they make their characters, and I know that it's weird using Blockbench compared to Blender, but a lot of that modeling information transfers over, and it looks great because you're still doing low poly stuff. You're still doing almost to a point if you're doing lower resolutions for your texture maps, almost pixel art. So it always kind of transfers over, which is great. So as I keep working on this model, you'll see I'll eventually get to the texture painting. And when I get there, that was, I'm not gonna lie, that was very annoying. And I had to go shout out for help on Blue Sky, because for whatever reason I decided to make the textures inside of Blender. So I thought to myself, okay, this will be a lot easier. I can save the textures in here. If I need to export it out to Clip Studio Paint, I can, and I can just re-upload it, resave it. Everything will be easy. No, for whatever reason, and I did not know this, unless you click the shield icon when you're doing your texture paints, Blender will not save your PNG textures even if you hit the control save button. So I was control saving, and I was retexturing my character's hat, his face, his beak. I think I did that like 3 times before before I almost freaked out, and then I learned that, oh, well, let me just go and save these individually. I must manually have to do this. And then afterwards I went to Blue Sky. I was just like, okay, it's finally done. And a helpful person went, oh yeah, you just click the shield icon and it'll save every time you save the whole file. I was like, wow, I should have just asked from jump. This system is ridiculous. And I was crazy to do this 5 times in a row. But as I kept going, it got easier. And for this one, I spent a long time doing this model. So after a certain point, I wanted to get the experience compared to making it as clean as possible. I know I can always come back and do it again, but right now I wanted to play around. So this is more of like, those little sketch practices that you do. It's like a close to finalized sketch by the time you see the end of this video. But this was fun. This was interesting. I liked playing around with this. It helped me relearn techniques. Well, maybe not relearn, but learned some new techniques that helped me make these models, and that let me know that just because I want my models to look a bit more humanoid in shape and not as blocky, I can still reuse those blocky techniques in the future, and it doesn't like invalidate my doesn't not invalidate, but it doesn't mean I'm losing that experience, that history that I built up, that practice, those skills that I've learned from Krasune and watching other people's videos, that I can still reuse all this information when it comes to low poly. And I really love it for that. So now we're into the pose mode, the putting the bones in and everything like that. This one, when it came to putting bones in, was nice. I didn't do everything from scratch like I did on the last character, which, whew, that guy was rough. This one I use Rigify, and I put that on top of my character and make sure everything meshed together. I had to move some things around left and right and to get it to work. And with that cloth in the back, that one was a bit tricky to do to move around with, because the cloth, you had to adjust the weight paintings and fix everything so things were moving right. When it came to the cloth itself, right around the shoulders, when I started moving the character around, it would clip. I took that as I needed more geometry, but I was trying to keep a certain poly count when it came to making this character. So it was alright. It is what it is, and I learned something new. I think next time when I make this character, what I'll do is I will try and find a way to make, if there's drapery on the back, I'm gonna try and make sure it's like attached to the arms itself and not part of the torso. Because what I did with this model was, as you saw, I made the torso and that kind of, I call it like a shawl or something like that. I'm not sure what it actually is called, but that shawl that went over the shoulders and down the back, I made that all part of one model. Um, and I let the arms on their own, thinking that it would be helpful that way. It didn't work out fully in the end, but it worked well enough when it came to posing my character. So you move it at a certain angle, and it works. Sure, there's some clipping here and there, but that's okay. This was, at the end of the day, this became more, like I said, an experimental model. But yeah, posing was great. It was a whole lot easier to do. Weight painting the head to attach to the beak and the head. I mean, the hat itself, which I love those hats. Every time I play a Souls game, or anytime, yeah, every time I play a Souls game, it is big hat, and then the toes have to be showing in my character's feet, his feet model. So either he's wearing wraps or he's wearing armor that has toes in it, which is which is always hilarious. My friends make fun of me every time, but uh, it's always fun. It's always fun to do. It is my staple when I play a Souls game. But I didn't do this in there because it was like, it was low poly. So this was fun. This was nice to do. Afterwards, when I made the effects, that little spin around visual treat you guys get at the very beginning or at the end, is I learned how to make ice, or at least a translucent ice texture. It's kind of like crystals. You guys never see this stuff. If you want to see it, let me know and I'll start including it in my videos. But I always thought that the modeling itself was more important than the effects that I put at the end of it, because that's more like I said, it's more like icing on the cake. It's not really part of the cake itself. But yeah, so I also made the scythe, the ice scythe, and I used kind of like the same translucent material for the scythe itself when it came to that, and kept everything simple because it's a low poly. Nothing needs that much detail when it comes to the weapons or any extra features. But yeah, so this was fun. I had a great time with it. Let me know if there's any models or characters you want me to do, and that would be great practice. I can do that on the side. But at the current moment, that'll be the next project I do, because the next project is going to be for the Crash Shune challenge that he's doing. So for, what is it, April? By the end of April, I'll have another character designed and ready, and I will shoot it out to Crash Shune's challenge. You can check out his Discord, and that's where a lot of people who are learning 3D modeling are going to ask questions for each other and, connect, talk to somebody new that's just getting into Blender. It's an awesome group. I just started getting into it. I'm not that far in yet because, like I said, I just started so yesterday. But if you guys want to learn 3D modeling or talk to people who's into 3D modeling and it's all low poly, go check it out. Go check it out. Go learn something new. But yeah, you guys have a good one. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.